What's up everybody? This is Breanna Rutter, and in this hair tutorial, I'm going to show you exactly how I did cornrow tree braids on my very own hair, step by step for beginners. So let's get into this look. So these are the hair supplies you're going to need to do your cornrow tree braids. You're gonna need an edge brush, a large comb, and a rat tail comb. You're gonna need to use your favorite edge control to slick your hair down, as well as some hair cutting scissors to help you to trim up your braiding hair. Now, optionally, you can use some hair candy or hair jewelry to style up your look. And here is the glorious red braiding hair. And this is in the color Fire Red. So you can choose to do any color you want to achieve this look. The very first thing you want to do, which is super important, is you want to go ahead and pre-section your pieces of braiding hair that you are going to use for your cornrow tree braids. This is the same preparation you would do when doing feed-in braids. But in this instance, we're going to be adding a little bit of hair at a time to create this look. Now I have here a total of 10 sections of braiding hair, and each braiding section gets about 25% bigger so that it can be a gradual progression with each braid. And then you just tie the rest of your hair in a big knot so it doesn't get tangled. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-section 5 areas on my head, but first I'm going to go ahead and brush out my hair. Now I am relaxed, but my roots are so grown out. So what I had to do is I had to actually straighten my hair and hot comb it to prepare for this look. So y'all know y'all girls' shoulders was burning, but I'm doing it all for the glory of this style. Now we're doing 5 sections, but I'm gonna have a total of 10 cornrow braids on my hair. And you may be wondering, but how? Don't worry, I'm gonna show you exactly how that looks. So here are my 5 pre-parted sections of hair using clips to keep them separate. But I'm gonna have a total of 10 braids on my hair, which means that each section you see here will be 2 cornrow braids. So now I'm gonna start off with the very first section, and I'm making sure to use my rat tail comb to part going all the way to the very back of my head. If you have issues parting very neat parts, I'm gonna show you this really cool trick. You wanna use a little bit of edge control, and you wanna make sure that you slide it on your parted section. So first you wanna part going all the way back, you use edge control, and then you clean it up with your rat tail comb to make your parts very crisp. This trick is the biggest braider's secret when it comes to getting them flawless parts on the scalp. So now we're going to use clips to keep the rest of our hair sections, so that way we can clearly define that this will be the 2 cornrow braids that will serve for the cornrow tree braid. So now I'm just parting in the very middle section. Now you technically don't have to make this part very neat, but it's totally up to you. So I'm just parting going all the way back, making sure that I have 2 sections clearly laid out. Now that you're done sectioning your 2 braids, you're going to use some clips to hold that second section there, because that's going to be your second cornrow. Now you're going to use a little bit of edge control in your edge brush, and you're just going to style up how you want this braid to look. Now this is totally up to you. It's totally your preference if you want to use edge control or not, but I highly suggest it. So now I'm gonna grab a little bit of my first section of hair that I sectioned off, and I'm gonna feather the ends just a tad bit. I like to do this for each section individually, so I have 0 wasted braiding hair. Now at this point, I'm gonna show you my cool little trick that I do to make my braid even. That means that I divide my hair into 2 sections. Now I take the smaller piece, which was 1/3 the size, and I wrap it around the bigger piece. Once I do that, I bring the legs back together to form 3 equal legs for my braid. Then I'm going to grab that first section that I have at the top with my index, my thumb, and my pincher finger. And then once I grab it, I'm gonna rotate underneath, and then I'm gonna pinch the next leg. Now if I did that too fast, don't worry. I'm gonna show you this slow-mo here. So as I pinch the hair, I make sure to rotate it going underneath, and then I open my index and thumb to pinch that second leg. So that way I can easily feed my real hair into my cornrow braid. So now as you're braiding your hair, you want to make sure that you're keeping the tension even on all 3 legs, because if not, your braid will not go directly down the center of your section. Now you want to braid a good amount in the very beginning before you begin feeding your next sections of braiding hair into your cornrow. So now I'm going to grab my very next section, and it's already pre-feathered at the ends. This is how you want to glide your fingers through so you can easily pinch that section under your index finger. Now the side you're going to feed on is going to be your right side, because all the little pieces of hair you're going to leave out is going to overlap over this braid you see here to feed into your second cornrow. And don't worry, I'm going to show you exactly how that looks. That's why it's very important that you do not skip around when watching my hair tutorials, because I give a lot of details and I show you different techniques to make sure that you achieve a flawless look with your style. So now as you continue braiding, you want to make sure you actually do about 4 to 6 rotations. And then once you free your right hand again, you're then going to grab your next section of braiding hair and feed it in. Now one thing that makes it easy is to slide the actual legs that hang to the side over your head so that you don't accidentally braid it into your cornrow braid. If you like for me to continue to do styles where I'm using color, let me know in the comments. I can't read your mind, so you have to tell me what type of tutorials you'd like to see. So go ahead and tell me about 5 different videos you want me to do next so that I know what styles I should have for you ladies. So now you just continue braiding. Make sure to grab a little bit of your real hair into the braid at a time, so that way you're not picking up too much hair. Use a clip to hold that placement there, so that way you can prepare more braiding hair, because if you run out, you don't want to try to hold with one hand and then use the other hand to try to get your braiding hair situation together, because it's going to make your hair tangle up. So that's a cool little trick I like to do. Feed it into your index finger and then you put the leg over your head. Super easy and simple. So now as you're continuing to braid, what you want to do is make sure that your braid is not too tight, because it's going to pull at the very beginning of your hairline. So now as you can see here, I'm going to go ahead and begin braiding the second leg for my cornrow tree braid. Every cornrow tree braid needs 2 cornrow braids, but each cornrow braid is going to either leave out hair or feed in more braiding hair into itself. And I'm going to show you exactly how that looks. So first we're going to re-prepare that very small piece of braiding hair that's going to be at the very beginning of our second braid. You're going to use a little bit of edge control to slick back the very beginning of your hair, so that way you're not putting too much tension at the very beginning of your hairline. So always slick the beginning of your braid going back and then begin braiding. So now as you're braiding, you're still keeping the tension very even on all 3 legs, making sure to braid going down the center. Now another thing that I like to do when I'm braiding my second braid is I like to lean the braid slightly to the left, so that way there's not much of my real hair exposed on the left side of the cornrow braid. So that means instead of braiding directly down the center, you want to slightly drift to the left of your section, so the braid kind of is left of your actual braided area that you see here. So now that we've begun braiding a little bit of the hair, you want to be very conscious about how thick it feels before you begin fitting it in. That means you may need to add new sections before you grab a leg. As you can see here, as I grab the leg, it goes to the left hand. So that way, the little piece of braiding hair is going to be over both of the braids. It kind of gives you more of a skeleton or caged effect with your look. So just continue watching so you don't miss any details. Now sometimes you're going to occasionally feed in some of your braiding hair into your leg. Now what you want to do is grab this leg here, make it go over the next braid into your left hand, and then continue braiding as usual. Now you may be wondering, how many times do I have to braid before I feed in my next leg of the braid? What you want to do is do about 4 to 6 rotations to free your right hand again. And once you free your right hand, you grab the next available leg on your braid and overlap it. Now the only time you need to do more than 4 to 6 rotations is if the actual leg you're feeding over is not going to be equally going across. So if you do your braid and you notice that it has a slanted look, you want to go ahead and unravel and redo it a little more, because if it's slanted, that means you're braiding too much before you grab this next leg that you see here. And when you grab it, go over your second braid into your left hand and then continue braiding your regular cornrow braid. Now as I'm braiding, you can notice that I'm slightly drifting my braid going to the left of my section. If you pay careful attention and look through the pieces of hair that are feeding, you can see that it looks like my braid is slightly to the left, which it is. This allows you to have more of a cleaner look with your cornrow tree braids. Now as you can see here, I did not feed in enough pieces of hair because you want to continue to overlap your individual pieces of leave out hair. So what I did is I unraveled my first braid again so that I can feed in some more sections. So this style is super forgiving. If your parts are not neat, that's okay. If you don't feed in enough hair, that's okay. All you have to do is go back a few steps so that way you can tie in this look all together. If you want to see more tutorials like this with different colors or different styles, let me know down below in the comments. So now once you actually feed in enough twist, you can stop once you leave your scalp. So now you just clean up the ends with the scissors and then you begin braiding that second braid again. So if you're noticing that your braids are literally joining and becoming one, that's because you're putting too much tension on your left out hair that you see here. So those little leave out pieces, when you add them over into your second braid, you want to make sure that you have zero tension, because it's going to pull too much and it will actually be just a little bit too tight in certain areas of your head. I'm not doing any tension. I'm only having tension when I braid on my scalp. But when I feed over new pieces of hair, I have zero tension on those new pieces. So as you can see here, I just grab it over and I lightly put it into my hands, and then I continue to braid medium tension on my scalp. So now you know that you've added the perfect amount of leave out pieces of hair into your leg, because once you've left your scalp, there are no more sections. You want to make sure that you constantly overlap pieces on your braid before leaving your actual scalp, because it's going to give you more of a consistent look from the very beginning of your section all the way down to the end. Now, as you're braiding your hair, there's one very important tip that I want you to keep in mind, and that is you want to occasionally smooth out your sections with your fingers by running your hands down the hair, or you want to use a comb or a brush to comb out the hair. If you do not do this, your braids will look lumpy and you won't be happy. So I'm just speeding this up a little bit more so you can see the progression of how your braid should look as you're braiding it. Also, if you're noticing that some legs are a little bigger than the other, you can just share pieces of hair. So you pinch off a little bit of hair from one section and then you add it to the section that's a little too thin. Because as you end your braid, you want all the pieces to be the same length and the same thickness, because then that means you can braid all the way down to the ends, as you can see here. So this is how the end should look. That way your braid won't unravel. So this is how your braid should look so your braid won't unravel. And this, ladies, is exactly how your cornrow tree braid should look. Now, of course, you can do any colors you want for this type of hairstyle. And I chose to do this fire red. So if you like this color, give me a big thumbs up and let me know. So now what we're going to do is we're going to begin styling up our edges. Now, I barely have any edges left out because I made sure to slick back the very beginning of my section and then begin braiding. One thing I noticed is that a lot of you ladies love to watch my hair tutorials, but sometimes y'all forget to comment. So if you've never commented on any of my videos before, go ahead and show me some love for the very first time and let me know what you think of this style as well as the techniques that I've shown you throughout this video. So now what we're going to do is style up this hairstyle just a tad bit. So what I like to do is put some hair candy on my braids, which is actually called hair jewelry. So I'm just grabbing the pink pieces and I'm putting them along different braids. You just want to look at the aesthetic of your style to determine how much jewelry you need, okay? So now I'm gonna grab this little cute gold snowflake jewelry piece you see here, and I'm gonna put it at the very beginning of my braid. Now, snowflakes, of course, remind me of snow, and I don't really like snow. So that's one of the things that y'all probably never knew about me, is your girl can't stand the snow because it be cold and wet. But if you love the snow, let me know in the comments. So now, as you can see, this is the finished style or look to my cornrow tree braids. And if you love these type of videos, you gotta let me know what videos y'all wanna see next. Until then, bye-bye.